There are moments in life that don't feel random at all, moments that feel strangely arranged, as if something unseen quietly guided you to this exact point in time, to this exact video, and maybe you clicked on it casually while scrolling. Maybe the title caught your eye for a second longer than usual, or maybe something deeper inside you, something you can't fully explain, whispered that you needed to watch this. And the truth is that messages like this don't reach everyone because thousands of people scroll past them every day without noticing. Yet somehow you stopped, you clicked, and now you're still here listening, which suggests that something in your life right now is shifting even if you don't fully understand it yet. Because often when life begins to change, it doesn't announce itself clearly. It begins quietly with confusion, with emotional moments that don't make sense, with people acting differently than they used to, with relationships that suddenly feel uncertain. And maybe, lately, you've felt that something around you is different. Maybe someone important in your life has been distant or silent. Maybe someone walked away when you least expected it. Or maybe someone unexpectedly entered your life and stirred emotions you weren't prepared to feel. And since then, you've been wondering why things are happening the way they are, why certain thoughts keep returning, why certain memories refuse to fade. But life rarely gives answers immediately, because understanding usually comes later, after the experiences themselves. And right now, you might feel like you're in the middle of a story where the meaning hasn't been revealed yet, like you're standing in the center of events that feel random, but somehow also meaningful at the same time. And that feeling isn't accidental, because sometimes life begins rearranging things long before we realize what it's doing. Sometimes certain people have to leave, so new understanding can enter. Sometimes confusion appears because growth is beginning, and growth almost always feels uncomfortable at first. It feels like uncertainty, like emotional chaos, like the ground beneath your life is slowly shifting. But what feels like chaos is often a transformation quietly unfolding, because the life you thought you wanted and the life you were truly meant to experience are not always the same thing. And when your path begins aligning with something deeper, your mind often struggles to understand it, while your intuition quietly recognizes it, which is why lately you may have felt more reflective than usual, thinking about the past, questioning the meaning of certain connections, wondering why some people had such a powerful effect on your heart, especially one person who may still cross your mind even when you try not to think about them. And that kind of emotional imprint rarely happens without reason, because some connections arrive in our lives not simply to stay or leave, but to awaken something inside us, to reveal parts of ourselves we hadn't noticed before, and those connections often appear at strange times, sometimes when one or both people are not ready, sometimes when circumstances seem complicated or even impossible. Yet despite distance, silence, or time, the memory of that connection continues living quietly in the background of both people's lives. And if you've been feeling lately that someone from your past is still energetically connected to you in ways you can't fully explain, that feeling might not be imagination, because human intuition often notices patterns long before logic understands them. And perhaps recently, you've sensed subtle signs that something is shifting again. Maybe you've felt unexpected emotions, dreams, memories resurfacing, or an unexplainable feeling that someone is thinking about you too, and whether that person shows it openly or not. Sometimes people need time apart before they truly understand what someone meant to them. Sometimes distance becomes the teacher that clarity could not be, because when people step away from something meaningful, they eventually begin to feel the absence of it, and that absence slowly transforms into realization, and realization into reflection, and reflection into the courage to face emotions they once ignored. And right now, something like that may already be happening quietly behind the scenes of your life, because while you've been questioning the meaning of certain events, someone else may also be questioning their own choices, their own feelings, and the connection they once tried to push aside. And life has a mysterious rhythm when it comes to connections that truly matter, because it often separates people temporarily so they can grow individually before bringing understanding back into the story. And if your life has felt uncertain lately, it might be because you're standing very close to a moment of clarity that hasn't arrived yet, but is slowly approaching. Because there are times when everything suddenly makes sense, when conversations happen that reveal hidden feelings, when messages arrive unexpectedly, when someone admits something they were afraid to say before, or when you simply wake up one day and realize that everything that once felt confusing was quietly leading you somewhere meaningful. And when that moment comes, you'll look back at this period of uncertainty differently. You'll realize that the emotional ups and downs, the questions, the silence, even the pain had a purpose, because sometimes the most important chapters of our lives begin with confusion rather than clarity. And the reason this video may have appeared in front of you right now is because you're closer to that moment of understanding than you think, closer to the realization that certain connections don't disappear even when time passes, that some stories pause but don't truly end, and that the universe, or life, fate, timing, whatever name you choose to give it, has a strange way of guiding people toward the experiences they need most, often at the exact moment when they're ready to see things differently. And perhaps right now, you're entering that stage where your perspective is shifting, where your heart is learning something new about love, patience, timing, and your own worth. And very soon, something will happen that connects the pieces of this puzzle in a way you didn't expect. Maybe through a conversation, maybe through a realization within yourself, maybe through someone finally recognizing what they once overlooked. And when that moment arrives, you'll finally understand why everything unfolded the way it did, why certain emotions refused to disappear, why certain memories stayed alive, and even why you felt drawn to watch this message today. Because sometimes the soul recognizes meaning long before the mind does, and the fact that you're here listening right now suggests that a deeper part of you already senses that your story is still unfolding, and that something important, something meaningful, is still on its way.